Hello, hello. I don't know how to describe it, but some of these days are like so strange, so demented. I'll explain what happened, but maybe similar things are happening to you. Just the energies of the people around me or whatever are all in like this harried state, just crashing and bashing around in the world. And it doesn't make sense sometimes. And then just acting up. I won't get into a whole bunch of the details, but I just see it, and it's like they're wanting to be heard. They're wanting to have you angry at them. They're wanting to have some kind of reaction so that they can feed off it. There's a lot of low vibrations out there, and I'm not calling it darkness. I'm just calling it facets of the reality that I've created, and they're in the death throes of no longer being served by feeding off of other people's energies, and they can't continue without your participation. So the less and less I participate, the more and more I just let it go by like a cloud in the sky. When I hear people crashing around upstairs, I hear it. I sit in silence most of my days. It feels so good because I start to see stuff show up, and then I can be aware of my presence or lack of, and it's kind of beautiful. So that's going on, and then this kind of hard to describe it. Some of these things with words, but this expansion of my character, like I no longer need to be small, and I'm making these declarations on a regular basis. Yesterday I sat with a whole bunch of things that kept me small, even just my view of the world. Like, it's crazy out there, it's falling apart, or whatever were old sentences that I used. And I'm manifesting that because I've seen it and other things, but I don't need to manifest that anymore. I see the world improving every day. I see examples of where it's healing and where it's changing. Just giving it a slightly different positive spin, because we're all frustrated to some extent by what we're observing, and we don't know what to do about it. Do we fight it? And that won't help, because that's the only reason that they're doing it, is to get that battle back, the fear back, the anger back. So right now, all I can do is accept it. I accept all these things that are coming. I think things that piss me off, like gas prices and travel restrictions here in Canada, and things that just make me feel like I'm in a cage. I have to exist that some level of conscious created it and let it happen. And it wasn't me. I might have bought in, but I didn't consciously ask for that. It's a fear motive. It's other, it was created by media and a whole bunch of other things, but as many people agreed with it, so it happened. And I have to accept that. And I can't. The hardest part for me is to reach out and say, okay, how do I change my reality? How do I manifest better? How do I create better after I've kind of carved myself out of this pile of poopy stuff that's the collective belief and the societal beliefs and conditioning? So now I'm just like walking in this kind of space in between. And it's really calm and beautiful here. And I'm just seeing a lot of stuff in a different way. And I don't have to actively clash with what is. What I'm finding is better is just to rise above and keep affirming that this no longer serves, and this is from an old, demented collective consciousness that no longer serves anyone. and just rising above and giving it its, acknowledgement, I guess. Not that I have to like it, but it's just like, okay, you exist. And that's not serving anyone, and my energy's not going to promote it anymore. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to sit there and play the game or talk about it or whatever you want to call it on social media. I'm just going to accept it's there, and that it no longer serves, and say thank you and let it go out of my world. And that may seem small and not enough, but trust me, you're not going to feed it that way. And it can get hyper mad and try and lash back, but it can't even touch you if you don't agree to it being part of your reality. And that's where our reality starts to change. It's deep and crazy and whatever it wants to be, but it's in its death pangs. I don't know what you want to call it, because it's just getting more and more urgent and angry and trying. And the more people that can sit here calmly and just accept, okay, that is. Don't like it, but that is. And one careful place is, it's okay to be in, how's the best way to describe it? I was going to say resistance, but the better word is non-acceptance. So you can accept, well, that's really mangled up. I better look at this differently. You can accept that it exists, but you don't have to participate. I had someone try to tell me yesterday that I needed to work with the systems because there was light inside the systems, and the systems that were broken, and comply with them and pay the bills and pay the stuff and let yourself find God through kind of squiggling in between, but still compliance. And I'm not talking active resistance. I'm talking like you're not fighting it. I'm talking of just standing in your power and saying, I don't have to participate in this. And stepping back. And I use the word begging the system to let you go, because some of these systems will strangle us, credit card debts and tax people and all this kind of stuff, and they just try and get you into shame and guilt. And the more and more I choose not to participate in that and stepping above, it's all outside my control anyways, many of these things, it doesn't come back. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'll have to describe that on a different live. But we can't just sit here and be a fluffy bowl of Jell-O and be happy. We have to want a new reality. So we have to say, okay, yeah, that exists. It's not good and it's not healthy and I don't like it. So I accept that it exists and that it doesn't need to exist any longer. It serves no one, and I'm going to move forward, and that will fall out of my reality. And that may sound simple, but who's going to choose it? Who's going to change it? If you're in active fight against it, if you're in struggle against it, your energy is just feeding them. But the minute you say, no, I don't like that, this isn't good anymore, we need to build a new system, we start to manifest something different. And we start to find people that are in alignment with that, and the system breaks down and something massive happens. So just go within and see what's going on, and you're going to see layers falling off, and you're going to see new perspectives on stuff, and go into everything and just ask what could be better. How could this be better? And just imagine it first. And once you imagine it, then just let it go. How could we exist without government? How could we exist without taxes? Can you imagine how good that would feel? And how we don't have to monitor ourselves and prove to people how much money we earned and do all this accounting and all this bullshit for somebody else to be able to take our money. Look at how much time and effort is wasted and how it's jaded money and our ability to have abundance. If we had a world that was different and people paid freely to rebuild things, change things, and it was all public knowledge and transparent, and you knew where the money went and how much it really cost, and things don't get inflated and people aren't greedy and all this kind of stuff. This beautiful new world comes where things don't cost nearly as much. And if people go out and volunteer to fix things and maintain the streets and all this stuff, can you imagine all the money that now all of a sudden would stay in our pockets, and just by people pitching in? So these systems are been created to create massive amounts of money for certain people, and we don't need them anymore. So look into them. Look at the ones that are struggling to you, which you're trying to pay, and it doesn't make any sense to you or whatever, and picture something new. That's creating a new reality. And if enough energy comes, a new timeline comes, and something magic starts to happen, and we're creating it. We just don't know the way. The resistance to what is telling us that there's something wrong. And once we know there's something wrong, then we can step forward and do something different. And once we know that energy of wrong, we're going to know energy of right. We're going to know what feels good, etc. And we've seen a lot of the wrong, the heavy, the compliance, the conditioning, etc. And now we're going to know what freedom is. And that's kind of what we're dancing through right now. What feels good? Okay, that doesn't feel good. I don't like that anymore. Don't fight it. You don't have to yell and scream at it. Just say, no more. We're done. Don't feed it. And then it's going to nip off the bud. The bud's going to dry up, and that bud won't exist anymore. And then we'll have a new tree, and it's going to be fed from our positives. So take a look into that. That's a pretty deep concept. It feels like funny money or whatever, where we're trying to prove that something's real when it's not yet. But that's how our mind works. That's how manifestation works. So try it. Let's see what happens. And if anything shows up, or this resonates or doesn't resonate, just put some notes in the bottom and we'll talk. Have a good night. Love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your beautiful comment. It is true. Thank you, Kathy. Bye.